Hey everyone, I'm Josh, and this is Josh Wright Piano TV. Hopefully by the time I've posted this video, I came up with a shocking enough title that you clicked on this video. And it is shocking because it was with one of my students this last week. Her name's Dana. I teach her on Skype. She lives in Hong Kong, brilliant student. And she and I were talking about performance anxiety. She has a competition coming up. She's playing the first Chopin impromptu. However that goes. There. Beautiful little piece, and I've never personally played it, but really have enjoyed teaching her on it. She's playing it really high quality, and she said, you know, when I play for you, I'm pretty comfortable. I might get a little bit nervous, but then I think she said she went to a hospital or something where they had a piano, and she said I put the soft pedal down and I barely played, and I still was just so nervous the whole time. How do I get rid of that? Now, I've done a lot of videos on overcoming performance anxiety, tips to get rid of nerves, but her and I were just having a really good discussion together. I've taught her for a long time, so we've had lots of discussions, but we kind of came up with something that really resonated with me, and I hope it can help each of you as well. I was saying something like, imagine if you could never play piano again. How would you play that piece if this is the last time you ever get to play? And she's like, oh, I have to pretend like I'm maybe dying tomorrow or something. This is the last time. I said, yeah, exactly. That's right. So you need to perform like you are going to die tomorrow, or like you're going to have some horrible accident that, you know, completely cripples your hands, that you can't play anymore. It's not to be morbid. I'm not sharing this to, shock you and make you fearful, like to walk outside. But I'm saying this because it adds a whole new element of meaning and passion into your playing, and it gets rid of all that clutter and negative self-talk that goes on in your mind. So I played Saint-Saens Concerto number 2, first movement, the famous one. For the first time on Saturday night at an outdoor concert. There was about 500 or 600 people there. Really fun outdoor concert. I played a bunch of Chopin etudes, Liszt Rhapsody number 2, La Campanella, Liebestraum, and then I ended with this with my wife playing second piano. And I can honestly tell you, I was thinking about what Dana and I had discussed, and it was remarkable, like how at ease I felt, and how I kind of almost felt sad in a way. I was like, what if this is the last time I get to play? Because you can't predict your future. I remember feeling that way when I played Rachmaninoff Third Concerto. You can search on YouTube, Josh Wright, Rachmaninoff Third Concerto, if you want to go watch that. I remember walking onto stage and thinking, I love this piece. I'm actually really sad. Tonight's going to be the last time I play this with an orchestra in probably a really long time. I don't know when another orchestra is going to ask me to play Rock 3. It could be tomorrow that someone calls me and asks me, but more than likely it'll probably be a few years, maybe even like a decade. You just don't know if you're not like a mainstream performing artist when you're going to be asked back and what repertoire they're going to want to program. And I can honestly say that Rock 3 was one of my more solid orchestra performances because I had this very intimate feeling about it. So this Saint-Saens, I'll play a little bit of it for you guys, just to solidify my own performance. I'll play the first couple pages for you. But the meaning of this is so much more deep every time I sit down, because I say, if this is the last time, if I'm gonna die tomorrow, if this is the last time I can play, what do I want to say with this piece? By the way, I do not have sostenuto. I have no idea. This is a Hamburg Steinway. I have no idea why they did not put a sostenuto, so my pedaling is not quite what I usually do on other pianos with this piano, so just a heads up. even just this main theme. You just enjoy more, you savor more, and you don't worry about the little mistakes. As you can see, I don't know how many of you know the piece, but I had a little at the very beginning. Had a little double take there, you probably noticed right at the beginning. I kind of thought, oh, should I stop the video and redo that so it's perfect? No, that'd be so hypocritical, And then I just got thinking, think about what you're actually preaching in this video, Josh. And then I was just like, okay, whatever. No longer, because you always get a little apprehensive when you start, but that piece is easy to connect to. It's pretty epic. Okay, so but even if you're playing something as easy as a Bach minuet. Maybe you add an ornament, maybe you take a little risk or something that you wouldn't normally do. This whole idea, this whole mindset, I hope can be of assistance to each of you as you perform, and I hope it can provide some value to help take you beyond your nerves. I listened to a TED Talk recently of a pianist that was talking about this. I can't remember her name, but she basically said her teacher berated her and said, "You're so selfish. Why are you so nervous? This isn't about you. It's about the music." And I do truly believe that. I kind of do like to be a little selfish, though. I like to think, what do I want to say with this beautiful music? I want to channel Chopin through what I want to say. I'm not saying even remotely that, I'm more important than Chopin, because we all are serving the music. Of course, if Chopin wasn't there, I wouldn't have anything to play, of his. So, but this mentality of, how can I make this the most meaningful performance of my life up to this point is something that I want you to think about, and stop thinking about what the audience thinks or who might be in the audience. I'll leave you with a little story that I heard from my teacher at Michigan, and I think Robert Rue had told this to him, and I'm probably going to mess up details, so please forgive me if you do know the story and I mess up these details. But there was this young pianist, up-and-coming, bright, wonderful artist that was performing his debut in Germany at this very prestigious concert hall, and he was playing something by Busoni, and he walks onto stage, and lo and behold, he looks out into the audience, and there is Busoni at his debut. Paralyzed by fear, he completely botches his whole recital. He's distraught. He gets through it. Afterwards, people are coming up, congratulating him, of course, maybe with some, unconvincing congratulations. And a man who looks very much like Busoni came up to him and gave him congratulations. So it wasn't even Busoni himself. It was just a guy who looked like him. But that perception, oh my gosh, Busoni's in the audience. Why should that have an effect on how he plays? Well, because he's playing Busoni's work. Of course he's going to get more nervous. But why? Busoni is a composer, and he also arranged some gorgeous things by Bach and others. Why would that affect the way this young man was going to play? Just Busoni understood that every artist, has their own voice. We all understand that. Chopin understood that. Every single artist, every great composer understands that their music is going to be interpreted in different ways. So stop thinking that you have to perform it like, oh, I've got to be Martha Argerich or Daniel Trifonov or Christian Zimmerman. I've got to play it just like them. No, you don't. You play it how you play it, and you be convinced of that. And then go back and listen to your recording and say, ooh, that wasn't convincing, or oh, that was really convincing, I'm keeping that. Then you can compare it to those guys, glean more ideas from them, but then make them your own. You know what? We're going to keep going. One more story. My teacher at Michigan, I thought this was Logan Skelton. brilliant guy. The way he tells stories, he's like the best storyteller ever. If any of you know him, you'll agree that he has this amazing way. I remember things that he says so poignantly. He said, I remember playing Prokofiev's Seventh Sonata, and I made the Richter recording my own like gospel, basically. Like I listened to that thing until I wore out the record, basically. And I believe that sonata was written for Richter, if I'm remembering correctly, by Prokofiev. Might have been his eighth. I think it was the seventh, though. Anyway, he said, I thought Richter played it correctly, and so I listened to that, and I copied everything he did, and I recorded myself. I sounded just like him. And then I stopped listening to the recording for a few months. But of course, I kept doing everything Richter did. And then I recorded myself like 3 or 4 months later, or sometime later, and I listened back and I said, I sound nothing like Richter. I sound like myself. And I thought that was a really great example. The worst advice I've ever received was from a judge. I'm not going to name her name because she's a famous pianist, but it was horrendous advice. I was 17 years old. She said, stop listening to recordings. You need to develop your own voice. That is the worst advice ever. You need to get inspiration from the greatest artists in history that we have at our fingertips on YouTube and with all of these, with Apple Music or whatever it might be, whatever music service or getting physical CDs. I don't care what you do. You need to learn from them, and then you make it your own. And that has been some of the most valuable advice I've ever received. So we've explored a lot of stuff in this video, but I hope it's been helpful. If any of you have any questions, my email is josh@joshwrightpiano.com. If you've gotten value out of this or any of my other videos, please hit the subscribe button up here. I'm going to list all of my videos on my website down here if you'd like to click that link, or you can click over here to keep watching more videos. Thanks so much. Have a great week.